And I'm like, Soken, I can see the hair. You're almost there. We can do this. You're almost there. Just keep going. You got it. Birth story recap.
First and foremost, I want to say I am still alive and doing well. I took almost 6.5 months off of YouTube specifically, but 6 months off of all social media to really focus on my family. Yeah, a lot of people have been asking where have I been. That's just a quick little reminder. I'm okay.
Yeah. And I don't know if your YouTube world...
It's been so long.
If your YouTube world knows if it's even
girl or boy. Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys know the gender. But that'll be a part of the story.
Yeah.
So you get to wait. It's gonna be hard not to say it.
So rewind.
Starting July 20th, 2020 is when my due date was, and that
7/20/2020.
Yeah, 7/20/2020. We definitely thought baby was gonna be coming that day because that's when I had my first real contractions that began.
That was also a date that we thought would be really cool.
Yeah, we definitely banked on that day. But I don't remember if it was contractions, like, I think it was in the late afternoon because we had the day before we had a midwife appointment.
Yeah,
and she checked my dilation and
yeah, and then
I was a centimeter.
And then I think we did a bunch of pregnancy dance videos either
to get baby
that day
moving.
or the
in my pelvis, so I knew it was happening, and also our midwife said that she felt the head of the baby too.
Yeah.
So yeah, we thought that was gonna be the day because contractions had began, and I was like, okay, it's gonna happen tonight. And then we ended up telling my mom, and then the next morning she came over because she wanted to be a part of our home birth. We always planned for a home birth the whole pregnancy, like super determined about a home birth.
Yeah. After many struggles with iron deficiency.
Yeah, we constantly thought that like it wouldn't happen.
Anemia, and then a kidney infection. Around 4 or 5 months in, you had a kidney infection, which led to a hospitalization. It was a crazy time to be having a baby.
Oh yeah, the pandemic too.
Pandemic baby.
And okay, so my mom came over and packed all her stuff to stay as long as it was going to take. And you guys started to set up the birth tub and change around the room.
I feel like you're going too fast.
Why?
Because we didn't even set up the birth tub till Wednesday. You just started
Really?
on Monday, yeah.
Okay, I was completely out of it because I was in so much pain.
Yeah, so it was...
The contractions were really...
Monday night was a long night.
Yeah, the nights were the worst.
Yeah.
And I couldn't sleep all Monday night, so I didn't end up sleeping that night.
Tuesday
and I went
came.
Tuesday not sleeping.
And then your mom showed up Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
And then we went
She probably remembers more.
We went to the midwife to see how things were going because she was getting a lot of contractions, but they weren't holding a steady rhythm like they should have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were like close together, and then they would space out.
Yeah.
So you'd have like an hour of them being 6 to 7 minutes apart.
Yeah.
For about a minute long, but it would only go for about an hour or two, and then stop for 3 hours, and then continue.
Yeah.
So they were super irregular.
Okay, so Tuesday after we went home from the midwife, we stayed up again most of the night, and we started calling the hospitals to be like, can we get her cervix rimmed?
Because our midwife wouldn't do it for some odd reason.
Yeah, our midwife didn't rim her.
She was all about giving me castor oil if it needs
Yeah.
be. And I was like,
And we didn't want to do
no,
that.
screw that.
Messy,
I don't want to
gross.
crap all over myself on the floor and like
Exhausting. Like, castor oil just sounded horrible. It's not something we were into. So
No.
we started calling some of the hospitals, realized that that was going to be...
They would, if we were to go there, they would admit us, and we didn't want to
Yeah.
risk that. So we made it through another night, but I didn't sleep. So this is
2 full days.
48 hours.
Yeah, 48
without sleep.
hours.
And so without the sleep, I was getting weaker, and the contractions were getting worse. And at nighttime, they would just stall out for a little bit, but they were painful enough to keep me awake throughout the whole night. So that was basically...
Yeah, and then the mornings were also,
Yeah.
it would get pretty rough again, I think.
And then I want to also put into perspective, I was in labor for almost
like 2.5, 4 days.
So we made it through Tuesday, Wednesday morning. Her mom's been with us most of the night. we
Oh yeah, and then my mom even said, she's like, you guys could try to have sex.
Yeah.
And we tried. It was painful, and it didn't really do anything. And then that day, I called the medical office that I used to go to, where it was all midwives, and I called
The
to get...
OBGYN.
Yeah, I called to try to get my cervix rimmed, and I went there, she did it, it was super painful, and then they put my belly on a monitor to see my contractions, and she said they were definitely happening, and but she says that it would just take some time past me getting my cervix rimmed. At this point, she said it could be 24 hours or 48 or 72 hours past this.
Yeah,
and my water didn't break yet, so we were just, as a waiting game of like not sleeping, the contractions getting worse, and then me feeling increasingly sick.
And not really being able to eat anything also.
Yeah. And then
so this is like 3 days of just...
Yeah, she told me to get Tylenol PM, and so I took that. You went to work for a few hours. My mom stayed home with me. I slept for 2 hours. This is past 48 hours. I slept for about 2 hours. I woke up feeling so bad.
Yeah, I
and the contractions,
like 50 hours.
The contractions were getting worse, and so
yeah, and
I think we called our midwife.
Yeah, and me and your mom set up the birth tub, and you sat in it for maybe a couple hours.
Which helped a lot. The water was super relieving.
It soothed you a bit. It was what you ultimately wanted to do, but your uterus just didn't fully know how to push out a baby. The contractions never got rhythmic enough, and so it's Wednesday night now, and our midwife...
And we're like, not another night. I just remember that feeling like, I can't go through another night.
And our midwife came over and tried to just be really, really rational with us, and basically told us, like, I don't think you have the stamina to actually do this at home anymore, because you've been at it for 3 days now. And that was pretty heartbreaking.
3 days without sleep. And then I remember being really upset with her.
Yeah, we kind of had wished that she had done a little bit more.
But she just didn't. She checked my dilation, and I was at a 3.
Yeah, we were at a 3 by
And she was worried because that morning I was still at a 3 when I went to the other midwife. So she's like, you're not progressing.
Yeah.
And
it's not...
I was losing sleep. I was... contractions were getting closer together and more painful, but at nighttime they would have these weird breaks, and so she just had to break it to us. Like, I think the most rational thing to do is to go to the hospital, and obviously when she told me, I started crying and like freaking out. And
it wasn't directly her fault or anything.
No.
I mean, it's like...
She was just like, hey, do you want to have your baby by tomorrow afternoon?
Yeah,
or do you want to go another 72 hours? Because I don't think that you can physically handle that anymore.
Yeah. The only thing that we had wished that she had done was kind of like...
Rim the cervix.
Rim the cervix. Yeah.
I had this whole idea that I was going to start contractions, and then I was like, maximum... 48 hours, then I'll have my baby. No, that was not going as planned. So that was so heartbreaking. The house was totally set up. We had all of our supplies. We had the whole kit. My mom was with us. And then, of course, like, if we had to go to the hospital, my mom couldn't be there. My whole family couldn't be there because of the pandemic.
pandemic hospital.
Yeah. So it's just like a really crappy feeling. But
And so we started to surrender to the idea of going to the hospital after a couple hours. Meanwhile, I'm trying to empty this birth tub so that we don't come home and our cats popped it and we just have water flooded our entire bedroom. So I'm like siphoning this birth tub, trying to empty it, getting the pot to get the last
we
water
have to go to the
out.
hospital, and we're like, we're not gonna get food for a long time, so you go run and get us burritos.
Yeah, while the tub is still siphoning, and then
I am left home alone. I'm bawling my eyes out. I'm so disappointed.
packing up things to go to the hospital,
Packed up little outfits.
Yeah, and she had to pack both because we still did not know
the gender. Yeah, and I just think it was funny because I had like a lot of girl clothes, but I didn't have a boy outfit because I knew that I was having a girl, to say the least.
You packed one boy outfit though.
Yeah, but it was like hardly a boy outfit. But anyway, so we start driving to the hospital, and then also I remember
after our burritos.
After the burritos, but I remember driving to the hospital. There were two like lightning bolts in the sky, and I was like, "Whoa! Like baby's coming!" Like I knew it. And this is Arizona, and it was technically monsoon, and it hadn't rained at all.
Yeah, it was like
this year.
Weird stormy night.
It was a weird stormy night for sure. But it didn't rain yet, but there were two lightning bolts.
Which we always called Baby Thunder Baby because of
our other video you guys could watch of how I got pregnant.
So
and then also on top of that, when we got to the hospital, we weren't even sure I could stay because we didn't know I'd be dilated enough.
Yeah,
so they had
to
make
enough contractions.
Our midwife had to call one of the doctors and just be like, "Hey, I want you to admit Silken, regardless of where she's at, because she hasn't slept." And
72 hours.
It worked out. We went there and luckily found out that I had dilated 2 centimeters basically in an hour.
Yeah, you were up to a 6 at that point.
Well, no, I was up to a 5. And then an hour later when she checked, I went to a 6. So it was going fast at that point. Yeah, so
it was just like trying to run a marathon and the marathon wearing her out.
Yeah. But I just remember the contractions in the hospital were really, really bad. But I had 3 days of practicing, so I felt like I was keeping my shit together.
Yeah, because there was another woman who was at like a 4 or 5, and she was just
screaming.
Freaking out.
And then for me, I'm like,
yeah. Trying to find
I learned how to
yogi.
breathe. Yeah, I learned how to breathe really well, surprisingly. And so, yeah, and then we knew that we could get admitted. I didn't like the fact that we were in this room for over an hour, though, and I was in so much pain.
Yeah.
It was a cold room, and I was so nauseous. Cut. So I just showed a crab, a Cancer crab, and a Leo lion, because we were at the point in this whole journey of not knowing whether or not we were going to have a Cancer or a Leo. Yeah. I went into labor on the 20th, which is Cancer. And then when I went to the hospital, it was the
22nd.
It was the 22nd, so we were like, is this a cusp baby? Are they coming tonight?
Yeah, and Leo season changes from year to year. Mm-hmm. So some years it's, I think, the 22nd, some years it's the 23rd.
Yeah.
So no matter what, cusp baby, mm-hmm. We always thought we were probably going to have a Cancer baby, but...
Yeah.
Did I just say?
Yes, I wasn't gonna say anything. I could bleep it.
Yeah.
I'll bleep it. You said the gender. But okay, so we go to the hospital. We're in this room. They transfer us to another room after a very, very long time.
And then we finally, after probably an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, it was a long time of being in the triage. Mm-hmm. We finally.
I love how you know all these terms.
We finally got to our room. I was the one that was a little more conscious when all this was happening.
I was not. Yeah.
So we finally got into our room.
This is little Mushi. And
our other babies.
Yeah, little big brother actually.
So yeah,
I wanted to get the tub to alleviate the pain, but she was like not letting me get in the tub.
She had hooked you up with all of the different sensors
to check
And baby's heart rate was lower than they liked. So they started discussing everything with us, and
then
obviously
the
one of
midwife came in eventually.
Yeah, obviously one of the
Nurse.
first things they said to us was, "How are you going to manage this pain? Do you want an epidural?"
And I was like, "That man."
Yeah, and she
supposed
wanted
to do a home birth, all natural.
she wanted to do the.
I was determined. I said no. I was like, basically, leave me alone. Do not touch me. Do not give me Pitocin. Do not.
Yeah, and so we basically just were kind of in this weird limbo for a few hours again of trying to figure out what's going to happen next.
Yeah,
and
but they came in and the nurse midwife was like, your baby's heart rate is dipping with each contraction. And so they wanted to have me hooked up because I had asked her if I can get in the tub. And she said, no, not yet, because they thought it was the position I was in or something. So I kept changing positions.
Yeah.
But baby's heart rate just kept dipping really, really low with each contraction. So they're like, no, we need you hooked up. We need to monitor your baby to see if they're okay. And then it never went away. Baby's heart rate kept dipping. She came in and it was like hours, and they had discussed breaking my water, but I was like, if they break my water, I'm gonna like potentially go into active labor in like 10 hours or so, and I still won't sleep. They knew I hadn't slept at this point in over 60 hours.
Yeah, you were probably at easily the 60-hour mark by
without
the middle
sleeping,
of the night.
and they could see it, and I was getting a little loopy and delusional.
Yeah, and
So they eventually came in,
and they suggested the epidural again
and
to get some rest.
I like argued with the midwife. I was arguing with them.
And she just felt like really like when you have a whole plan set in your mind and then every single aspect of it changes. She felt very like just betrayed and lost. And
yeah, I told them to leave the room. I was like, you guys need to leave. I need to discuss what I need to do.
Yeah.
I sat there for like 30 minutes bawling my eyes out, and I just kept saying,
just tried to be really rational for you.
You were so tired.
I just told her that if you want to push this baby out, you might need to get some rest.
I kept saying, when they left, I kept saying, like, I feel so deceived, I feel betrayed.
Yeah.
I felt betrayed by our midwife, I felt betrayed by these two nurses.
Yeah.
I was so heartbroken. Like, I have cried like that, but like, that 4 days, like...
Yeah, it was a long road up until...
Yeah, I was just heartbroken, I guess. But they came back in. I started to ask them a little bit about the epidural, the side effects of it, because I was like, ultimately I did not want to do it, but Mikey said to me, do you want to sleep? Because if you want to sleep and get the strength that you need, you probably should just take the epidural to relax a little bit, because again, the pain was too much to sleep on my own.
Yeah.
So they came in, finally said yes after hours of fighting it.
Yeah. And
they did it. It didn't hurt or anything. It was really quick. And then, I was relieved. I slept for 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, first they gave it to you, and it didn't sit well with your heart rate or something, so they had to switch drugs.
Yeah. So the anesthesiologist came back in. And he was trying to figure out what to do, if they should put a different one, and then they decided not to switch the drug. And
just put it to the lowest dose.
Yeah, they put it on the lowest dose. But I was able to sleep for 2 hours, which was like crazy. And then we woke up in the morning, and they broke my water.
Yeah.
Because they knew it was like, we needed to get this started.
This was probably at like... You slept,
7 in the morning.
Yeah, I think you slept from about 5 to 7. So we got to the hospital at 9 p.m. 2 hours later into our room. A few hours debating the epidural.
Yeah, this is all not sleeping, so...
And then finally them giving her the epidural at like 4 or 3 in the morning, and then it really kicking in by like 5. And then we both took a little cat nap. Little kitty cat nap.
Yeah, that 2 hours felt insane because it was like 60 hours without, so 2 hours gave me enough strength to like be able to talk properly and focus.
And then at 7, they brought in, the midwife came in, talked to us some more.
She broke my water, and then a few hours, or actually how like 8 or 6 hours after this.
Yeah.
It was at 1 p.m. when I went into active labor.
No, that, like, you were in pretty active labor.
Oh, I was in active labor, but I'm saying pushing was at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, you tried, so they broke her water, and then things really started progressing.
Yeah, you can see my contractions on the monitor.
Yeah, and we're both pretty delirious at this point. It's been a long 4 days.
They asked if I was ready to push, and I knew I wasn't. I could definitely feel the head getting really low, and so there was a point where she was like, okay, I'm gonna labor down.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I can do that.
Down.
Because I was not ready at all.
Yeah, so basically
I labored down
like,
for over an hour, and it got so bad.
Yeah.
I was almost puking. I had my puke bag, and also
this was
the
at
epidural.
like 11.
The epidural no longer was working on half of my body, so I felt half of my body, which was a blessing in disguise because I wanted to experience a feeling.
Yeah.
So half of my body, I felt it, and it was so bad that Mikey had to push into my freaking hips.
I was like taking my wrist
You were
and
getting
just
so
like
tired of it, but it was,
pushing
like,
as hard as I could in her hip.
It was excruciating is the word I would use.
Then it was getting really
It
intense.
was at the point where my body needed to push, and
Yeah.
I had to keep holding baby, and
So
which was so bad.
But
it
we
was
did.
making me really, really nauseous. And
The midwife Rosanna did come in, and we did try to push for like 30 minutes, but it wasn't quite time.
Mm-hmm.
And then so she went and started helping another mom.
oh, so I guess it was an hour and a half of this.
Yeah, so she went and started helping another mom, and then
That was when
it was at about noon that things were starting to get
also,
really, really
it was really
intense.
crazy. We had all of the windows open, and it was like really overcast. And Arizona's not usually
Yeah.
like this, and you could tell there was a storm coming. And it did rain for a little bit,
Yeah.
like
it was
at the time that I was giving birth.
Yeah, and another really weird coincidence is
Oh, the flowers.
there was an azalea flower on the wall,
And-
and that was going to be our girl name.
Yeah, so we were just like, she's coming.
And the whole time I'm like, Silken, she's coming, she's coming.
Yeah, you were so supportive. Like, I couldn't believe how supportive you were. You were getting emotional
But I was,
because you were so empathetic. Like,
Yeah.
I was suffering.
and I was also pretty tired myself. Obviously not as tired as Silken. I just wanted to tell this detail because I thought
The
it's
coffee?
Yeah, so
I knew you were gonna do that.
it was like at like noon, 12:30 maybe, and I was also getting so exhausted, and I was like, man, I should have went and got a coffee when I had a chance. And then the nurse was like, I can go get you a coffee, and I was like, really? You can give me that? She's like, how do you want it? Do you just drink it black? I was like, I could drink it black. However you want to bring it to me. And she's
Yeah.
like, no, we have cream and sugar. I was like, just bring me 2 sugars. And she brought me a coffee, and I'm just sipping on it like...
And I keep thinking, I have my puke bag, and I like just keep gagging.
Yeah.
Because I was so hot. It was so hot.
And we-
Also, I wanted to say, when I got to the hospital, this is very common when you're in labor, but I was freezing. I was shaking so hard.
Yeah, you were shaking.
Really shaking and cold. And at this point, I was so sweaty and hot and like
So let's say
peaky.
it's about 12:45 now.
And we're like, get
I'm-
the nurse in now.
yeah.
She needs to come.
I'm
ready.
watching the contractions on the monitor just go full spectrum, and I'm like,
You recorded it too.
yeah, and I'm like to the nurse, I'm like, where is
We
the
kept
midwife?
saying, we need her now.
We need her to get here.
She finally came after 30 minutes of saying, we need her, we need
Yeah,
her.
so
And then she comes in, she's like, are you ready to push? And I was like,
I'm ready.
this is about 1 o'clock, and so she gets here, more backup comes in.
Yes.
We have our heart chakra music playing the
yeah,
whole
all
time.
the windows open, heart chakra music.
It's
It was
very
so
bright,
zen.
very intense. Like I always imagined, like
dim
a dim like 4 a.m. birth,
cave
but
birth. But no, this was the opposite. The whole room
Yeah.
it was really beautiful actually.
yeah,
We could see like the LDS temple too, so that was kind of like
yeah, it was
dreamy.
pretty cool.
It was like a castle-looking temple. The sky was.
Yeah.
Okay, and then
So
yeah,
they
were.
come in. It's 1 o'clock, and she starts pushing, and it's like one of the most intense primal
watched
things
all of
that
it.
I've ever been a part of.
I felt so much of it. I felt the head descend. I felt my hips like just like getting shifted, and
Yeah, and I start to see dark black hair coming out of her yoni.
thick.
And I'm like, Soken, I can see the hair. You're almost there. We can do this. You're almost there. Just keep going. You got it.
Oh, yeah.
And
I felt like I had this adrenaline overtake me where I was like, I want my baby.
those little sounds you made, like it's like a determined little mouse sounds, and then like deep growls.
No.
Not that deep, but
No.
like deep. It went. I don't know. I saw a full range of sounds and emotions.
I got so
you.
hyper focused though, like I was so focused. But yeah, so about 20 minutes actively pushing.
And
then all of-
Rosanna was like, "You're just life coach." She was just like,
they were amazing.
You got this, girl. You're almost there.
I felt the head pop, and I was like, "Oh my god,
Yeah,
I'm relieved."
that
And
was-
once that happened, I felt the body like slither out like
Yeah.
a worm. And the next thing you know, I'm just like so relieved. But the next thing you know, Mikey says something.
Yeah, I scoop up
Baby.
and I put him on her chest. And
But no, in the midst of.
yeah, in the midst of doing
the
that,
air.
I look down and I see in between baby's legs, and I'm like, Silken, it's a boy! and
And then all I say is, "What? Are you serious?"
It's a boy, Silken.
What?
It's a baby boy.
Oh my god. Are you serious? And I just start like.
Just bawling pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, and he came out
Silent.
so quiet.
Silent. So there's heart chakra music. He's not crying, and for a long
He's just
time.
looking around,
Yeah,
and
he
then,
was like looking at the environment.
and that's the way he's been ever since. He's a very aware little guy, but the whole like
And his name is Ozzy Ananda Franks.
double lightning bolts.
Yeah.
After a few seconds or a few moments, we're like
Trying to get him to cry.
Yeah, he hasn't started crying, so they started patting his back and
And he's still.
started wiping him down, and
But I was just like, he was just cutting on my chest. I can't believe it. He's 6 months old now. Like, how did that happen so fast?
yeah.
But yeah, he eventually squawked.
And yeah, those first little cries were.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, you could tell he had a little bit of liquid in his lungs.
Yeah, and he kind of spit it out, and then they
He had such big eyes too, and literally a full head of black hair, like
Yeah.
thick.
because she was taking like 4 doses of liquid plant iron a day, like
Yeah.
to
And then I was also
cure the
eating
anemia.
dates too, so I didn't really tear. He was so healthy and
yeah,
so strong. He came out and he was lifting up his neck.
yeah.
And I never, like, as a newborn, I never had to support his neck like most newborns where they're like floppy. He was never floppy.
Yeah.
He was so strong. And everyone said that from the day he was born onward. Every doctor, pediatrician, they're like, he's so strong.
Our
Oh yeah, we
little-
got our little Leo.
Our little Leo came out.
He was determined to be a Leo, obviously. 4 days of waiting.
Yeah, Ozzy Ananda.
1:19 p.m. He's
They
still
sugge-
sleeping. I'm like, where's his entrance?
And they had suggested giving Pitocin now to stop the bleeding,
And I
but
was like, no.
yeah, she wanted to try and just do things as naturally as possible, and I said, well, let's just play it out. I tried to be your advocate. Because normally when you hire a midwife to do a home birth, she'll go with you to the hospital and she'll be your backup in the hospital.
Yeah, but we couldn't even have
But
that.
she couldn't even come with, so we were
It was
just...
crazy though to not even have my family there or like anyone. It was just us, which was
Yeah.
actually kind of nice. in a
Yeah,
way.
it was...
We had time to meet our little soul.
Yeah,
Yeah, we were stuck in the hospital for 2 days though, which was super frustrating because
Yeah.
he had jaundice, and I mean that's super common. I had
Yeah.
jaundice, all of my brothers had jaundice.
Yeah.
So we were stuck there, which was really annoying, but we were determined to not tell my family
The gender, which
'cause we were
was
like, we had to
so
wait
hard.
9 months. You guys can wait. So we went.
Yeah.
We came home finally.
Yeah.
My parents arrived first.
When we were trying to get admitted from the hospital, I was just like,
It was so hard.
we haven't told our family, this is a surprise, baby. You need to let us out of here.
Yeah. And then when we got here, we did a surprise gender reveal with Ozzy. And
Yeah.
my mom like heard him cry and was like, "That's a boy." And then we take him out, and then they're like, "Wait a second, wait, that's a girl." And then she opens.
He was a pretty
She
baby.
opens the nappy, and then she sees a penis, and she's like, "Oh my gosh,
It's a boy.
it's a boy!" And then my brother, sister-in-law, and their kids come over and they film it. And same situation where my brother's like, "That's a girl. I've had 2 daughters. I know babies."
And
Everyone was saying, "Girl, girl, girl." And I was determined my whole pregnancy, girl. So it was just really funny. My sister-in-law opens up the nappy and she sees a penis in her face. She looks at the camera. She's like,
it's a boy.
and everyone freaked out. It was really exciting, but
So-
also a little weird being home because like everything was set up for the home birth, and then on top of that, we had no boy clothes. We had nothing. No
Yeah.
boy onesies. Nothing.
So it was
we were unprepared.
yeah,
Which
it's
was
a big
kinda cool.
transition, but
Yeah. Also, before, because he's not even awake, and I wanted him to be in this video, but I wanted to say what his name means. Everyone thinks of Ozzy Osbourne, but we named him Ozzy because we went to Australia when I was pregnant, and I was just,
at
I was
the
like,
start
oh,
of
I
the
guess
pandemic.
I need a boy name. I looked up Ozzy, and it means protected by God, which I think is really beautiful, and it means like God's power as well.
Yeah. And then Ananda means
Eternal bliss.
yeah.
And then Frank's is your last name. We didn't really say it, but he was born on July 20. Yeah, I guess you're right, July 23rd.
Yeah.
2020.
At 1:19 p.m.
I guess we can cut this and show you him when he wakes up. But
Yeah.
last thing, the reason why I haven't made a video, this is so weird. Why is he sleeping? The reason why I haven't made a video is our baby does not nap. Like ever. He has FOMO, fear of missing out. He's always awake. He always
Yeah.
wants to be a part of everything. He, as a newborn, never slept. He just doesn't
Yeah.
sleep.
He's got a lot of energy.
Yeah, little Leo. So like I said, we tried so hard to get our home birth. That's like everything I had envisioned. I literally had dreams about giving birth in a tub at home.
Yeah.
And it just, the lesson was that like,
Can't plan anything when you're a parent. You gotta be.
well, just life.
Yeah.
Life. It just, it goes the way
Yeah.
it needs to go. And I had to recognize it was already such a blessing to just have a healthy, happy baby.
Yeah, that's.
And
No matter what you're planning, as long as your baby comes out healthy. Here's our little Aussie man.
Ozzy Ananda Franks.
Yeah.
He's 6 months old now. I'll give a close-up shot. Let's see. Ozzy is almost 6 months. Hey, look at the camera. Bub. Baby. That's you! You see? Ozzy, that's you, buddy. This is our little guy. He's a chunker.
Thighs.
Thick thighs. We'll probably make a video about him eating solid foods for the first time at 6 months. That's in like a week or 2.
It's a week.
Yeah, but so far he's been exclusively breastfed, so this is all vegan milk chunk, and he's the best. He makes us so happy and tired all at once. Yeah.
Go.
And we made a video about you, Ozzy.
About how you came into the world.
That's about it. So bye.
Bye.